Hello and welcome to the FATU Network. I am Sadia Brito. Today we are here right at the GRTS building to sit exclusively with the Minister of Information and Communication Infrastructure, Honorable Ibrahima Sila, who will be talking to us on a range of topics concerning media and freedom of expression in the Gambia. And of course, talking about freedom of expression, he just happens to be trending today on all social media platforms for either the wrong or the right reasons. We will find out. Welcome to the FATU Network, Honorable Silla.
Thank you so much, Sergio, for the opportunity, even though as prompt as it is, to get to the ministry to have an idea what the situation of the media is in this country. Thank you.
And to talk about the situation of the media, like I said from the beginning of the interview, that you are trending online today on almost all the social media platforms, following what happened to be an alleged censorship that you've been accused of taking part in between you and a journalist and a media house. But before we get into the interview, walk us through what exactly happened.
Well, I mean, if you are referring to the issue of the QTV, let me say on record here that I have never in my life as a minister ever called any media house or any journalist in this country to censor or to express my profound disappointment in terms of the work that they do. I know the importance of editorial independence, and I have never, ever censored anybody nor interfered with the editorial content or judgment of any media house or any media practitioner in this country. If there is anything, if you publish or broadcast anything that need our side of the story and it is not carried, we always seek for our side to be heard and to be considered as part of this important process of ensuring that you give, a balancing view on from all sides, so that those that you are broadcasting to or those that you are reporting to can have an informed judgment on the issues. So I was really shocked when people started sending me cutouts of a Facebook post by BBC journalist S.O. Williams, that an interview that he had with QTV, the management of that institution was pressured by me to stop that from being rebroadcast, because it was already broadcast and it was already used by QTV. But, and more seriously, a journalist of his caliber accused me of trying to institute a process in this country that will put, a freedom of press under threat in the Gambia. I think this is a very serious allegation, and the management of QTV are free. They know very well, they are here. They can be contacted for their side of the story. I have never, ever called the QTV management, neither their reporters, to interfere in their work. If they broadcast anything that we are not happy with, we will insist that our side of the story be heard. And this is what we have been doing with all the media houses. If you publish something and we believe that the facts of the matter that you are addressing are not properly put out, we either send you a press release or a statement, or we ask to be interviewed directly. And this whole situation came about because I went to QTV last week to be on a panel on one of their local language programs called Kacha.
Right.
We were to discuss about issues related to COVID-19. And while I was there, because I came very early, I was approached by the leadership of QTV if I would be interested to be part of the viewpoint. I said, of course, yes. As Minister of Information, I am always ready to talk to the media about issues Gambian and Gambia government. And I was never aware that
Iso have been interviewed
I was
before.
never aware of it. I did not know about it, and they never even talked to me about it in my interview with them, because they only interviewed me about my sector and what we are doing to improve connectivity in the Gambia, but also other little general issues about government and governance. All right? Now, when that interview was done, 2 days later, this interview by Iso Williams came on TV. And my attention was drawn to it by a friend who called me to watch QTV. They were having an interview with a BBC journalist, Iso Williams. By the time I could go and watch, because it was already too late into the program, I think only 10 minutes was left. So I watched only 10 minutes of the interview. And when the interview was finished, I called the managing director of QTV. I said, look, you had an interview with me about a few days ago, and I want to believe that this interview with SO might have been done before mine. And it seems to me that I was kind of like being put on the TV
to respond to some of the things he was saying?
Some of the things, or to appear as if government's views are also being carried on the TV. But in my interview with your journalist, the host of Viewpoint, we did not touch anything on this particular. And if people see this, my interview on the Viewpoint right now, they will think that I came on the program because a critical view was on the program the previous week. And that, I think, to me, is not fair to me. I would rather prefer that my interview be dropped, and if you want me to respond to what Iso said, because I later watched the YouTube version of it, which was uploaded immediately after the interview, where he talked about a whole lot of things: incompetence of ministers, incompetence of the government, clueless government, corrupt officials, corrupt government, and a whole lot of things that would require a proper response if they had asked me, based on facts, based on things that government is doing with COVID-19 funds, based on the COVID-19 emergency response initiatives that the government has taken, based on our engagement with communities on COVID-19 response initiatives. And because those things are not done, you don't expect me to appear on the same program after a critical view like that, just as a purpose of window dressing. I don't do that. I am entitled to my opinion, and I'm not afraid to put my opinion out there. I think anyone who knows me knows that about me. If I want to put out my opinion, I put it out there, and I'm not afraid of the backlash of that strong opinion that I have. I go out to defend what my government is doing, to inform the public what my government is doing. You don't expect everybody to be happy with that. You don't expect everybody to agree with that. And for me, I know this comes with the territory. I have no problem with that at all. Because at the end of the day, those who want to inform themselves based on the truth will appear to know what is right and what is not right. But now, because this has happened, and a whole government was put in that kind of situation, you don't expect me to go and interfere with what a private media is doing.
So to get this straight, you did in fact contact the management of QTV, but it was not for them to actually drop Iso's interview.
No, I never, ever discussed about the content of their interview with Iso or what to do with it. That is not my job. I am a professional journalist. And where Iso is working now, I was working there. I have worked in many newsrooms in this country and outside. And I think it will be irresponsible of me to go to the media house and a newsroom and to put pressure on an editor to drop a story that they have already, in fact, broadcast to the whole world. What benefit would I have in that? If I'm not happy with it, I will ask for a response. I will ask for a right of reply, so that at least everybody will hear the side of the others, the government too. If you are happy with it, fine, that is your business. If you are not happy with it, fine, that is also your business. We are not in the business of censoring anybody here. All of you are journalists. Tell me, since you started this profession, have you ever had, despite all the critical work that you do, have you ever had anybody or any official from the government or the Ministry of Information who ever call you to censor you or to express, dissatisfaction with your work? If there is every journalist is free in this country. I'll be very happy for a journalist to come out to say that I, as minister, have ever called anybody or interfered with anybody's job in this country. So I don't know where Iso got this thing, and I deserve an apology from him. If not, he will hear from me, because he's
and
not
an explanation from the
journalist.
media house, because from what he is saying,
yes,
is basically that the media house has told him that they have dropped the interview because you had asked them to.
But who in the media house? That is not for me. I mean, that is between him and the media house or the journalist who told him that. And I will not be bothered about putting pressure on the media house to come out. It is as if then I am trying to justify my own innocence. I am not going to do that. I think that is immature, and that will be too much to ask for an independent media to say, okay, you also have to come out and clarify. I have nothing to hide. I have nothing to hide in this matter. And I have nothing to gain going to a media house to tell them, stop doing this, or you cannot do this. That is, if in fact there should be, anything that I will do, it will be based on a professional conduct. Like probably you've done your job in a way that actually falls below, professional standards. I can give you my candid advice, and I have been doing that for a lot of young journalists in this country. I see something that you write, or that you even put on social media, and I try to give you my candid little advice. When I was growing up in this profession, that's how I was coached by many, many, many people. Some of them are here, they are alive, But I think it is really irresponsible to put out an accusation out there that is not even true, and you are not prepared to defend it, and you run because you think you have a small crowd in social media who will defend you just because it is a government official that you are accusing. I am not that type. These things don't move me, because I know I have a clear conscience. If I did that, if what he said it is true and I did that, I will come out and openly admit that I did it, and I will give my reasons. And I will not be afraid to give out my reasons for that.
The thing about this ISO debacle is that whether you had a hand in it or not, which you have clarified, or it was intentionally and purposely pulled off the air by the media house itself, it is safe to say that it is a hit on freedom of press. But you have already...
But how? Because how was it put off air? This thing was broadcast already. It was already broadcast. How was it put off air?
It was already... So why did it... Then, if it's already broadcasted, then it didn't have to be pulled down again.
Pulled down from where? I don't know what you are talking about.
It was... The thing was that the interview was deleted.
From where?
From social media to... It was uploaded on YouTube and everything.
But you see, you are asking me a question that I have no control over, because I have no control over the social media feeds.
It's not a question, it's just a statement that I am saying.
But that has nothing to do with press freedom, because it is not government that has put pressure on any media house to pull down any media story that you have published in this country. It has never happened. It has never happened. And look, we have fought so hard to be here. And all of us have, whether you know it or not, our direct interest in seeing that democracy is strengthened in this country. So you cannot just sit in your little corner and tarnish the image of people just because you want to seek public attention and sympathy. It is irresponsible, it is unprofessional. And, let me tell you one thing. This is strange coming from an international journalist. For some of us who have had the opportunity of working with international media, even if you are freelance, you have a valid contract with that international media. the first set of rules that, especially for the BBC, that they will condition on you, especially when you are a retainer, is that you cannot work for any other person and that your views don't matter at all in a story. Okay? Now, you have a BBC journalist, not any ordinary journalist, but a BBC journalist who presents Focus on Africa and other important independent programs of the BBC, come out on a private television station, which is one of the biggest television stations in this country, with a viewership around the world, also on social media, accusing government of being very incompetent, very corrupt, officials very corrupt, clueless, and all sorts of things. And this is not about having any proof to come out and say that, but because you think it is true. There is no problem with an opinion. If any ordinary person says that, there is no problem with that. But you expect an international journalist of that status to come up with serious, backing of what you are saying. Because if not, then your views are conflicted. Now, whatever BBC reports on the Gambia and Issoe William presented, those that are supporting the regime, those that are supporting the government, will see a serious conflict of interest. They will think that maybe, yeah, because this guy has always been saying this, and then, the reports is negative, even if it is true. So that is why in the international media, all journalists that have valid contracts with your employer, you are always advised to stay out of local politics, especially if you are from that country. You can do critical reporting on them. And that is important because you cannot have in a democracy a government sitting and you expect journalists to be, carried along with whatever you do. This is what enriches our democracy. Critical reporting and also critical, criticisms that will put all of us, that will jolt all of us to make sure that, we act and we defend and we react, we seek right of life. That is normal in a democracy. But when you take sides, clearly, that's a serious conflict of interest. Maybe the BBC rules have changed.
Like you said, times have really changed, and we have fought really hard to be here.
Yes.
And even though sometimes we find ourselves or government officials saying, okay, this is a newfound democracy and things like that, we all know it wasn't handed on a silver platter to us just like that.
Yeah.
Gambians fought for it. When we talk about government, almost most governments are not open to media and the work that they do. And sometimes you find people saying, people like Ibrahim Silla should know better because he has been in this trade for far too long to not know. You are considered a veteran journalist, but sometimes Gambians think you are not very receptive to the media. What is your response to that? People think that you are actually not very thick-skinned to the criticism that people say about the government of the Gambia.
No, I am thick-skinned, and I can tell you there is no journalist in this country who call me even late at night that I don't respond to your call. And I am always surprised when people say they call me, they don't get me, or they text me, they don't. That has never happened. You called me just 30 minutes ago that you want to interview me. I have never met you. I only, I think 2 or 3 times saw you online. I have never, why would I deny journalists access to me? Because I'm the information minister. I'm supposed to be the mouthpiece of the government. Sometimes, in the thick of things, you can lose it, and that is normal. I'm a human being. But that does not mean that, you don't have freedom of press in this country. And as far as I am concerned, anytime the media approaches me for an interview, why do you think every Friday I conduct live press conference here? Even though, you never, your media never attends. But every Friday, we do live video conference with the entire media in this country. You can ask any question. If we have answers for it, we give you. If we don't, we make sure that we prepare for the following week and we provide it. Every Tuesday, I go to Peter Gomez's radio, and it is live. People can send in all kinds of text messages, and if they are read to me, I provide the answers. If I don't have the answers at that immediate moment, I compile them, and the following week, When I come back, I provide the answers. My telephone numbers are with all the media houses in this country. So I just don't get it when people say that, government is not open. I mean, Esau Williams interviewed me just 2 weeks ago, and I have been on his program almost 3 or 4 times. So, I mean, why would we run from the media? Have you ever had anybody giving an interview, you die? No. You answer questions based on what you know. And that's what I have been doing all along. Some people may not be happy with it. They may think that, we are evading or we are evasive. Some people are happy. And that is the reality. But you cannot be out there and come up with things that you know are not true, but because you are carried away by a small crowd of people that you think when you put it there, they will be after those, public officials, insult them, and then that will, browbeat them and into submission. That will not work with me. For some of us have been in this struggle for long. We have seen it all. We have had it all. And we went through a lot of things. So you don't expect me to come here and work as a Minister of Information, and I repeat those things. And I think this was deliberate, knowing that for the past 24 years, when we were fighting for press freedom in this country, a lot of journalists bore the brunt of that process. Some of them lost their lives. Some of them actually were exiled, including me. Some actually nearly lost their lives. Some were arrested and detained. Some were tortured. So the moment you put in the social media that press freedom is under threat in the Gambia, you bring back those old memories. So this was deliberately designed. And it was not, put out there by any ordinary person, but a seasoned, well-respected international journalist working for the world's biggest newsroom. That, I think, is cause for concern, and I think he will apologize. I hope he will apologize. Because to me, I have never in my life interfered with any media's work in this country. And I will not allow those people who want to seek relevance today to come and tarnish my image just because they think that social media is there. And then, when you are not happy or when you hear something foresight without having the guts to go and then get confirmation from the other side, you put it there, and then the crowd will be carried away. No, I think that is responsible journalism.
When people say freedom of press is under threat in the Gambia, what do you have to say to those people?
Well, I think the Gambian people are better judges. They know whether this is true or false. I don't have to speak for anybody. But I know that as a government, our ranking has been consistently going up in terms of respect for the freedom of the press, in terms of our fundamental relationship with the media. This government has never arrested any journalist since 2017. It has never detained any journalist since 2017.
But it has occasionally shut down media houses.
No, but remember, that was a security operation. It was not the central government that went and shut down, the media. Okay, and go to the United States, especially in front lines, when there are serious, upheavals, and you see what happens. There are what you call rules of engagement. Sometimes you are even embedded. Okay, some of us have done that in countries like Guinea-Bissau. Okay, when the Senegalese forces came in to make sure that you have a proper view of covering the story. Okay, DR Congo and other places, journalists are embedded. When you are embedded, you are given a clear terms of rules of engagement. If you go out of that, you can likely be a victim, an unfortunate number in the front line, or you can be sent out from that place, because you have to make sure that you respect those rules of engagement. And in some cases, because a situation needs to be contained, when you are talking about a security situation, it is already out of the power of a Minister of Information. You are no longer in charge of the situation. Okay? The security are in charge, and sometimes they take certain actions as part of the containment mechanisms. All right? But this government has never got up and then went, okay, shut down this particular radio station just because they are doing a job that we are not happy with. in fact, if there is anything, some of us have been appearing on those platforms, and we have been defending the governments in opposition. We have been telling the people what the government is doing, despite the insult and the parental insults. But we know these things come with the job. They come with the territory. If you are in public office, you have to accept these things. If I'm sitting at home, nobody will say anything about me. Nobody will insult me, most likely, because my path will not cross with anyone who is not happy with a government system. But so long you are in public office, you have to be prepared for this. And that is why, for me, it doesn't bother me much. It is only, baffling when you see informed citizens. And this is the danger about social media today. Because you can see highly informed citizens, well-respected people, who, when they see this type of stories, they are also easily carried away. And you can understand, you don't need to blame them. Why? Because we came from a very difficult history. And that history, anytime you see a resemblance of it, it gives you a very pitiful memory. So, and unfortunately, only when the truth comes out, then you see some of them withdrawing because now they have seen the truth. So this is a danger of the social media. And that is why I expect that a responsible journalist like Isho Williams would want to be very cautious in putting out something on social media that he knows he has not verified and he has not actually got the truth of it. That, to me, is very worrying. And if this is what senior colleagues have to behave, then we are sending a very bad signal. We are setting a very bad precedent for people like you who are growing up, because you will think that it is right, it is okay, under the rules of professional engagement, to go and put anything there because you want to force the other party to come and clarify. I think that is wrong. I may be a public official, but I am also entitled to rights. Okay? You can insult me for my job, but you cannot deliberately go out there to malign my character because maybe you don't like me, or you don't like the government that I work for, or because you have a strong opinion about an issue that my government is doing. I think if there is anything, we should be the vehicle to provide clarity to the people, to set a good example, and to bring out the issues so that everybody who is affected by that story can make an informed judgment based on what you present. But if you present to me a very biased thing and you deliberately put me on the spot as part of a process in the public court of opinion, to be subjected, to be caricatured to all kinds of insult and character assassination, I think that is worrying. And I hope my colleague, Sir Williams, will come out and apologize and know that what he has done is a profound, mistake on his part, a profound misconduct on his part, a profound and deliberate attempt to malign my character.
Let's talk about journalism in the Gambia, because you've raised some really valid points. It is easy right now in the days of social media because times are evolving.
Yes.
Like they said, Gambians have coined so many names for journalists right now. They say anyone can just get up and go to Facebook and be a journalist and write their own stories and things. How do you view journalism in Gambia in this present day?
Well, journalism is evolving, and new media is part of the new concept of information dissemination. We have to live with it. We have to accept it, because whether you like it or not, the new media will be here. You cannot do anything about it. But what we can control is to give out facts. The bridle misuse, use and misuse of the pen is very dangerous. And if, as those that are in charge of information dissemination are carried away by citizen journalists, conducts of citizen journalists, I think that is worrying. But the good thing is that, we have strong union in this country. We have the multimedia training center at the University of the Gambia. Many young journalists now are being trained home by, experienced home journalists, and they are being trained on our own culture, on our own tradition, and our own information dynamics. So this is extremely very good. The future of journalism could not be better in this country. Training academies are here now. We have strong institutions that are working with the media. We also have an enabling environment now. We have freedom of the media in this country. And we also have a booming media scene in this country. Today, for example, your media house today has more followers than the entire newspapers of this country. Your media house alone in social media, and it's a new media. You have nearly 400,000 followers. That is probably more than the entire viewership of all the TV stations in this country combined. So you can see the dynamics of this profession. You can see where the future of this profession is. But you can also see why there is need to provide adequate training and coaching and mentorship for the people who are growing up in this profession. And that is why those of us that call ourselves, the old guards, need to be very careful. Even though I am still young, but I've been in this profession now for more than 23 years, okay? And never has there been any occasion in my career as a journalist that I reported something and it is queried to be untrue. It can, all throughout my life, I have worked with editors in this country, they are still alive. I have been an editor of a newspaper and a radio, and I have never, ever been queried for writing an untrue story or broadcasting an untrue story. Why? Because I went through a very thorough mentorship program. I went through some very robust, rigorous hands who were very strict and who had an eye for little details in the newsroom. Okay? And I want to encourage that among the young people also.
It is obvious that the coronavirus pandemic has hit across all sectors of the economy. And if there are any two people who are indispensable in this fight, it is the frontline workers, as in healthcare workers, and the journalists. Yeah. And now Gambia government has announced a $15 million grant to be given to journalists or media houses, still not clear out there. People have actually begun saying that that is unethical for the government to give grants to media houses.
No. There is nothing immoral and unethical in this. Maybe you need to understand how even the international media is funded. It's funded by taxpayers. For example, the BBC. The BBC is directly funded by the taxpayers. So as Radio Netherlands, so as Radio France International, so as the Russian international channels, VOA, and the rest. The NPR sometimes, okay, they can directly go to the public and tell them, okay, we are doing this and we need funding. But apart from the NPR, all the public service broadcasters that I know of actually are funded directly by public funds, although the nature of the funding may differ based on a jurisdiction. Now, this effort to support the media, because we recognize the important role that the media has been playing. And that's why even if you look at our disclaimer that we have put there, for the grant support, we put a clear-cut disclaimer that this support is not given to suppress views of the media on their reporting on COVID-19. It is not given to the media to cajole them to report on government activity. No. Whether you know it or not, we are putting out our views there in the public. All right? So there is nothing unethical about this. This particular bill, the supplementary appropriation bill for the support for the media, in fact, was moved by a member of parliament, in parliament. And when the fund was approved, we approached the GPU, the Publishers Association, the Broadcasters Association, the Community Radio, network, for them to come out with a criteria as to how they want to access these funds and how it should be shared among them, because it's their money appropriated in the supplementary appropriation bill by the National Assembly and of course endorsed by the Minister of Health. So they came out with that, and hopefully this week we will even inaugurate the grant committee that will work with them. This is their money, to see that they get their money. So we have been waiting on them all along. They finalize these things, we're in touch with them, and then they will get their money. It's their money. So it is not unethical. It is not unprofessional, especially for something that went through a National Assembly process, approved and accepted by the government through the Minister of Finance, for journalists to enhance their work. It happened in Senegal. Senegal is a much bigger country than the Gambia. It has more media houses than the Gambia. It has a vibrant media scene just like the Gambia. It happened in many other African countries. So I don't know why in the Gambia, anything that government does, some people will go and sit there and come up with all kinds of, accusations and things that really you cannot even imagine. But that is the life that we live today. I think, the informed minds should continue to do and, listen to the right things, and then we move on. Those who want to be stuck in this, unnecessary insults and character assassination and categorization of people, let them continue, unto whom your way, and unto us also, our way, doing the right things for the country.
So this grant, can we know where exactly or to who exactly it is going? Is it going to the frontline workers, as in the journalists, or is it going to the media houses?
Well, the media, as I told you, the media houses themselves sat and decided on a formula. So it will go directly to the media houses, because they are the ones who are paying their frontline workers. They are the ones who are providing support to their employees. And, so for us, basically, it will be difficult if you say you want to give money to individuals, because that is difficult to quantify and then, process. But when you say registered entities that have been working on this, and their work has been visible, and they themselves know who is who in this profession, then it's much easier and better to coordinate. So the support also definitely, of course, is going to be given to the media houses, and then the people who work under them will be the beneficiaries, I guess.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Minister of Information and Communication Infrastructure, Honorable Ibrahim Asila. Thank you very much for granting us this interview, Honorable.
Thank you. Thank you too, and I want to take this opportunity to thank you also for, contacting me on this important view. As you said, my name is trending for all the wrong reasons. But as I always say, this comes with the territory. That's the democracy that we fought for. I hope those people who are also criticizing ministers and government officials will also accept the fact that ministers and government officials have a duty to bring out what the government is doing, for them to understand and make informed decisions on our actions. So you cannot be always out there insulting, coming up with all kinds of, names just because somebody is doing his or her job. The public officials that you are insulting every day also come from homes. They are part of us, and they are doing the public job. So I think we need to be mature, definitely. We need to be mature.
Thank you very much, Honorable.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.